Abhisar, do you see going forward liability on management who has stepped down? Because simply quitting and then saying, oh, I take moral responsibility may not be enough in this case. We don't know where it will go, but the moment the word fraud has come in, do you think an investigation is warranted?
If the fraud happens, then I think it's going to be the responsibility of the audit committee and of the board to actually investigate that fraud. And the people who are responsible for that fraud be brought to light. And if it is the ex-employees, then clearly the ex-employees will be held accountable for that part of the work, for sure.
In criminal investigations, Abhisar, criminal investigations. It's time for central agencies to come in and look at what's happening over here.
Sorry, but to be candid, criminal central agencies don't have an excellent track record of turning things around. But I would say that effective investigation is important, and so that a matter is brought to an end, so that IndusInd can start off with a cleaner slate. I think that is more important, and that should be the focus.
So, Hetal, do you agree with this? Saving IndusInd right now is more important than bringing those who have done this to book, or are both important from an investor perspective? Is it enough for the same auditors and the board that missed all of the red flags to conduct this investigation, decide who comes next?
See, I think it's a little bit of both, right? I think, yes, the bank primarily needs to rebuild its confidence in investors. I think that's clearly shaken. And therefore, there is a great focus to figure out how much they need to clean up and get on. Now, the board has said at this stage that they're starting FY26 with a clean slate, and all the issues around accounting and fraud have been sort of booked into FY25. But I don't know whether that's really the end of the series. I think what we are going to see is new leadership come in. Most likely you're going to see an external, RBI is most likely going to get someone externally to come in. And you're hoping that you're going to see someone who's straitjacketed, who'll tighten the systems, sort of follow the rules and responsibilities, and basically, get the ship together. At this stage, I think that from an investor perspective, that is important. You have to understand that, all of this is not going to happen quickly. You're likely to see the bank just slowing down because it's going to be far more inward focused, at least in the immediate term, as new leadership steps in, just trying to get the ropes together. And therefore, from an investor perspective, trying to build that entire confidence back and getting back up and running is to my mind a priority. Yes, you do have to address the issues of the past. It's not that you can sort of walk away and say we've got a fresh start. And therefore, the external investigations, given that these will be independent and you still have RBI oversight on this entire issue, should bring to light, what are the sort of how many people are involved and what the elements of causation are, and therefore appropriate action should be taken.
Dipali Pant, if I may get your perspective on this, what needs to be done to bring back confidence in this whole issue and understand what really has happened, the culpability of those on the top who were running the bank while all of this was happening?
Well, Tamanna, I have a rather straight-jacketed regulatory view in this. Ideally, of course, you need a new man. You have to ensure that your systems and processes are in place. But I would also like to look at the culpability of those who created the whole mess in the first place. And I'm upset that they would be allowed to go scot-free. Simply saying that now I've told you there's this fraud, there's this gap, I don't know anything about it, does not work. As far as the auditors, the whole definition of audit, A is for, analyzing, understanding, deducing, and then having some kind of an intuitive understanding of the patterns which you're seeing, and then tracking the transactions. And if a good auditor cannot do that, then the auditor is not required, because that is the objective, and that is why external auditor is hired. After a bit, I think RBI should also be looking at all other banks so that there is no replication of this. Because you see, Tamanna, every system is only as strongest as its weakest link. And if banking runs on trust, now if people lose trust in foreign banks, in private banks, in banking as such, then there are a lot of people willing to come in, and there is already a lot of disintermediation happening. So this is this is a death knell really, and I would have suspended, really superseded the entire board, and also taken very strict
I
action.
just want to quickly get views on that point. Should the entire board be superseded? Just Mr. Khara, your view on that?
Well, I think unless and until we really know that what responsibility is, because board eventually gets guided by what the MD and CEO will say. But yes, of course, board had a responsibility beyond that also. They could have, because when it comes to the audit committee of the board particularly, they interact with the executives of the bank. And when they interact with the executives of the bank, then they should have been in a position to assess what is the level of the compliance and how correct are their accounting reporting. Well, I think for me it is a bit premature to say that the board should have been superseded. But nevertheless, if at all they are found wanting, then of course. But as of now, I would not be really getting into that stage.
Okay, Abizar, your view on that point?
I think we don't know enough.
Okay.
Depending on what the issue would be, horses for horses. Take Yes Bank, for example, they did change the whole board because that was the gravity of that situation. If the gravity of this situation is similar, that will happen. If not, I think appropriate action.
Yeah, but you know what, the astonishing part is this has gone from a derivatives accounting discrepancy to a problem in the MFI book to micro lending to NPA not being accounted for properly to fee income. So it seems to be spreading. It's not just one thing deepening.
So I think one will have to get to the bottom of it, Tamanna, and then decide who are the people which need. There will be gaps.
Yeah.
And the gaps will be identified across the chain.
Okay.
And those changes will be changed. It could be the statutory auditor who may have to be changed. Who knows? But that would also happen.
I don't see how the same auditor can continue beyond a point. I mean, we'll wait and see. We're watching the story very closely. A band-aid right now on a gaping wound saying, okay, here's the new guy, he'll fix everything, might not be enough at this point. But thank you to all of you for joining us on this conversation. I've run out of time. IndusInd Bank in focus. What's also in focus is the way our banking regulations run. What's also in focus is the top brass of IndusInd Bank. And can they really say, oops, this was a mistake? Well, that's all the time we have on the big question, but stay tuned. A lot more coming up on NDTV Profit.